However, when it comes to working for Jesus, you don't tell Jesus, I'm going to be a minister. Jesus calls you. Jesus is the one that picks. Jesus had thousands of disciples, thousands of followers, but Jesus chose who would be the apostles and who would be the 70. And so you need to hear the voice of the Lord when God calls you for employment. There's a shortage of ministers. And why is there a huge shortage of ministers? I forget, about 30 to 40% of churches are open, seeking pastors. The average age of a pastor in the United States of America right now is 65. That's because like 70 to 80% of all ministers in the United States are baby boomers. And so there's like this huge gray wave heading into, that have been retiring for years now. There's a high burnout rate. 40% of ministers are getting out of ministry because of emotional stress, unreasonable demands, financial strains, profound isolation. We're trained when we're pastors never to become friends with anyone in your church. And many, many pastors follow that rule to the letter. I have completely broken that rule. I'm like, no, I'm going to have lots of friends. So we have not felt that profound isolation at all. I ultimately think Satan has been beating up on a lot of pastors. And in fact, please keep in prayer, Satan has been hitting some of the pastors in our church like crazy. The younger generations are not going into ministry, and maybe things have never really changed. Jesus said to his followers, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Pray that the Lord of the harvest would call people into ministry. Test 2. So first you got to be called by God. Then the second test is you got to leave your occupation behind. However you're called. I finished my first 4 years of pre-med, and then the Lord called me into ministry. I'm like, why didn't you tell me ahead of time before I spent all the money paying for 4 years of college? But that helped me to get into seminary, so not all was lost. But you have to leave behind your occupation to be in full-time ministry. The disciples left Matthew, a tax collector, John, James, Peter, Andrew were fishermen. You gotta leave it behind to serve the Lord full-time.